snake venom between her legs. He sucked it out, but then everything changed forever. The storm had ended, but the jungle was still breathing like a living beast. Thick leaves dripped water that sparkled in the weak sunlight. Every sound echoed like a warning. Strange cries, crawling things, and the hiss of creatures hiding just out of sight. Captain Ray walked carefully through the broken remains of their small ship. The crash had been violent, metal torn open like paper, flames still burning. Now the survivors were moving slowly, wounded, tired, and afraid. Lena, the youngest scientist on the team, stumbled as she carried a small pack of supplies. Her hair was wet, her glasses cracked, but her spirit looked unbroken. She tried to smile at Ray, as if to say, "We will survive this," but the jungle did not care. It was hungry, and it was waiting. They pushed deeper into the forest, trying to find higher ground. The air was heavy, thick with the smell of rot and strange flowers. The ground was soft, almost breathing beneath their boots. Every step felt like it might be the wrong one. Then it happened, a blur of motion from the trees. A snake. No, not a normal snake. Something longer, faster, with scales that glowed like fire. It dropped from a branch, fangs like shining needles. Before anyone could react, it struck. Lena screamed, her body falling to the ground. Ray's heart stopped. The serpent's fangs had pierced deep into her upper thigh. The venom spread instantly, black veins crawling under her skin. Her face turned pale, her breathing shallow. She whispered his name, weak, afraid. Ray. The team shouted in panic. One man fired his weapon at the serpent, blasting it apart into pieces. But the damage was done. Lena lay trembling, her legs already paralyzed, her eyes wide with terror as she felt the poison rushing through her blood. Ray knelt beside her, his hands shaking. He knew this kind of venom. He had read about it in the mission files. Alien toxins, designed to kill within minutes. There was no antidote, no medicine, no hope, except one. The old, desperate method. He had to suck the venom out. His throat went dry, his mind screaming with hesitation. The venom was near her femoral artery, close to her heart. If he did not act now, she would be dead in minutes. If he acted, he risked his own life. Alien venom could burn his mouth, even poison him, and the place where she was bitten. It was awkward, humiliating, but there was no time for shame. He looked into her fading eyes, and he knew it was this, or she would die. "Ray, do it," one of the soldiers cried. "Please, she has no time," shouted another. But Ray was frozen, caught between fear and duty. His mind played tricks on him. Voices in his head saying, "Don't do it, it's poison, you'll die too." Yet his heart said otherwise. Lena's weak voice broke through the noise. Her hand grabbed his wrist with fading strength. "Don't let me die here, please," she whispered, her tears mixing with the sweat on her face. Ray closed his eyes for 1 second, then he made his choice. He leaned down, pressing his lips against the wound. The taste was immediate, sharp, metallic, burning like fire. He sucked hard, pulling the black venom into his mouth. It felt alive, twisting, trying to dig into his tongue and throat, but he spat it out quickly onto the ground, black liquid hissing like acid as it touched the soil. The soldiers around him gasped in shock. Again he sucked, again he spat, his lips burning, his throat aching, his stomach turned as if he was drinking poison itself. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Each second mattered. Each breath could be her last. Finally, after what felt like forever, her breathing slowed, her skin stopped darkening, her eyes flickered on. Pen, weak but alive, she looked at him, whispering, "You saved me." But in her gaze, there was something else. Something strange, something glowing deep inside. Ray staggered back, wiping his mouth, tasting fire and blood. The jungle around them grew silent, too silent. The birds stopped, the insects vanished. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. And then, somewhere in the distance, something moved. A shadow in the trees, tall and watching. Not human, not friendly. It had seen what Ray had done. It had seen Lena survive, and it was waiting. The team stood frozen, hearts pounding. They did not yet know that this was only the beginning, that one desperate act of survival had opened a door to something greater, something terrifying, and something unstoppable. As the camera pulls back, showing the glowing jungle and the broken humans inside it, a gentle voice speaks to the audience. If you are enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to this channel, because the journey is only beginning. The scene fades with Lena's glowing eyes staring into the jungle, and Ray's hand still trembling from what he had done. The jungle was still, yet Captain Ray could not hear silence. He could only hear the pounding of his own heart. Lena lay on the ground, breathing weakly, her skin pale and damp with sweat. The venom had slowed, but not stopped. The black lines under her skin still crawled slowly toward her chest. It was like watching death creep forward, inch by inch, refusing to let go. "Ray, it's not enough," the medic shouted, fear in his eyes. "She has minutes, maybe less. Do it again." The word struck him like a knife. He had already tasted the burning venom. His lips still ached, his tongue raw, as if it had been cut with blades, but there was no choice. Ray bent down again, his hands trembling. He pressed his mouth to the wound, sucking harder this time. The venom fought back, burning his throat like fire. His body screamed in pain, telling him to stop, but his mind screamed louder. "Save her, save her, save her," he spat Dubdi. Every creature in the shadows froze. The forest itself seemed to stop breathing. "What's happening to her?" the medic cried, his voice breaking. Ray forced himself to stand, still dizzy from the venom. He stared at Lena, unable to answer. Her veins glowed, not black now, but bright, as if liquid silver flowed inside her. The venom had changed. It was no longer killing her, it was remaking her. Lena gasped, her voice layered, almost two voices speaking at once. "I can hear them, the trees, the shadows, everything is alive." She grabbed Ray's wrist with inhuman strength, her eyes locked on his. "They're watching us," she whispered. "Who?" he asked, his heart pounding. She shivered, her voice trembling. "The ones that made the venom." And then they all heard it, a sound like drums, far in the distance, echoing through the trees, slow, steady, powerful. The team froze, weapons raised, eyes scanning the jungle. Shapes moved between the trunks, tall and silent. Ray felt cold sweat drip down his back. This was no accident. The serpent had been a test, and Lena's survival had been seen. The shadows grew closer, forming outlines of creatures with glowing eyes. The team panicked, whispering to each other. "Should we run?" one asked. "No, they'll chase us," another answered. The medic pointed at Lena, his face pale. "She's not the same anymore. She's dangerous." Ray turned sharply. "She's alive because of us. We protect her." His voice was iron, even though fear clawed at his chest. He looked down at Lena, still shaking, still glowing faintly. She whispered again, "Ray, they want me. They called me. I don't know why." The jungle erupted with sound. Branches snapped. Heavy footsteps approached. The air filled with a strange metallic smell. And then, from the darkness, a figure emerged. It was tall, armored, its skin covered in shifting scales that glowed faintly like the serpent. Its face was hidden beneath a mask of bone. It held a spear that crackled with energy, humming with deadly power. The other soldiers raised their guns, fingers trembling, but Ray lifted his hand, stopping them. The figure was not attacking. It was staring at Lena. Then, slowly, it knelt, pressing the spear into the ground. Behind it, more shadows appeared, dozens of them, and one by one, they knelt too. The team gasped in disbelief. Ray could hardly breathe. Lena's eyes glowed brighter, her face pale with confusion. They think I'm one of them," she whispered. Her voice broke as fear and power clashed inside her. Ray felt the weight of what had just happened. He had saved her life, but maybe he had doomed them all. The jungle grew louder, the drumming stronger. The alien warriors began to chant, their voices deep and resonant. Lena clutched Ray's hand tightly, her body shaking. "I don't want this, Ray," she whispered, tears in her glowing eyes. But it was too late. The choice had already been made. The venom had chosen her, and the jungle had accepted her. Ray's jaw tightened. He realized the nightmare had only just begun. The jungle glowed with strange lights that night. The air trembled with a rhythm that was not wind, not rain, but the chanting of creatures hidden in the shadows. The alien warriors had surrounded the survivors, yet none of them attacked. They only stared, and they only knelt, their glowing eyes locked on Lena. She stood weakly, her body trembling, her breath shallow, but her eyes shone with silver fire. Captain Ray kept close to her side. His throat still burned from the venom he had swallowed earlier. His head spun with dizziness, but his hand never left his weapon. The soldiers whispered nervously, their voices breaking under the weight of fear. "Why are they bowing?" one muttered. "They should have killed us by now," another hissed. "Ed." Ray said nothing. He watched Lena carefully, and what he saw terrified him more than the aliens. Her veins were glowing faintly under her skin, like rivers of light moving through her blood. Every time her heart beat, a pulse of silver spread across her arms and neck. Her wounds had closed too quickly. Her breathing, once faint and weak, was now strong, too strong. And when she looked at the aliens, she seemed to understand them. Lena clutched her head, groaning as whispers filled her mind. "They are speaking to me," she gasped, her voice shaky. "I don't know how, but I can hear them inside." Ray gripped her shoulder, his eyes locked with hers. "What are they saying?" he asked, his tone sharp. She hesitated, fear in her glowing eyes. They call me Vessel," she whispered, almost choking on the word. The soldiers exchanged horrified looks. "What the hell does that mean?" one asked, panic rising in his voice. Ray clenched his jaw. He didn't know, but the venom, the aliens, the chanting, it was all connected, and Lena was at the center of it. Suddenly, one of the aliens stepped forward. It was taller than the rest, its armor darker, its spear crackling with more energy. It pointed directly at Lena. The chanting grew louder, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Lena screamed, falling to her knees. Her body convulsed as the glow spread violently across her skin. Her fingers dug into the soil, pulling it apart like paper. Her scream was both human and something else, a sound that made every soldier clutch their ears in pain. "Ray," she cried, her voice breaking. "I can't stop it." Ray dropped beside her, holding her tight. "What's happening to you?" he demanded, his own voice full of fear. Lena shook her head violently, her tears glowing as they rolled down her cheeks. "They're inside me, Ray. I feel them, their memories, their pain, their wars." She looked at him with horror. "I'm becoming one of them." The soldiers backed away, their weapons raised. "She's infected," one shouted. "She's turning into a monster," another yelled. Ray spun toward them, rage in his eyes. "She is human. She is still one of us," he roared. But his words felt weaker when Lena's body lifted slightly off the ground, the light around her growing brighter, her voice echoing with two tones, one human, one alien. "We are the vessel. We awaken. We return." The jungle erupted in response. Creatures screamed from the trees. Glowing insects swarmed in clouds. The very ground shook, as if the planet itself had been waiting for this moment. The alien warriors began to strike their spears into the dirt in unison. Boom, boom, boom. The sound rolled through the night like thunder. Ray held Lena tighter, his mind racing. If she lost control, she could destroy them all. Suddenly, Lena's eyes rolled back, and she collapsed, unconscious. The glow around her faded, but did not vanish. The alien stopped chanting and simply stood, waiting, watching, guarding. The silence returned, thick and suffocating. The medic rushed to her side, checking her pulse. "She's alive, but something's wrong," he whispered. "Her heartbeat is too strong. It's not human anymore." Ray glared at him. "Don't say that." But deep inside, Ray knew it was true. Something inside her was changing. Something no human had ever survived before. Hours passed as they carried Lena back to a makeshift camp. The alien warriors followed, always keeping distance, never attacking, never leaving. They were like shadows chained to her presence. The soldiers could not rest. They argued, whispered, cursed under their breath. "She's cursed," one spat. "She'll bring them all on us." Another shook his head, his voice shaking. No, she's the reason they haven't killed us yet. Ray sat beside Lena's sleeping body, his weapon across his lap. The glow from her veins flickered faintly in the dark. Her breathing echoed unnaturally, as if two lungs were working. Instead of one, he brushed dirt from her face, his jaw tight. He remembered her voice begging him not to let her die, and he wondered if saving her had been the biggest mistake of his life. But when her eyes opened again, he saw something that made his blood run cold. She looked at him, but for a split second, he was sure it wasn't her. Her pupils shifted, narrowing like a serpent's. Her voice came out softer, colder. They will come for me, Ray, and when they do, you must choose. Ray frowned, confusion flooding him. Choose what? He demanded. Lena's lips trembled, her voice breaking. Choose if I am still worth saving. The words struck him like a blade to the heart. He grabbed her shoulders, his eyes fierce. You are human, Lena. You are one of us. I don't care what they think you are. But she shook her head slowly, tears falling. You don't understand. I can feel their hunger inside me. I don't know if I can fight it. The camp grew colder, the fire flickering as shadows lengthened unnaturally. The jungle whispered again, a low hum in the distance. Ray looked around, his instincts screaming that something worse was coming. The alien warriors outside the camp lifted their heads in unison, their glowing eyes fixed on the sky. And then, far above, lights appeared, ships, massive alien ships, breaking through the clouds. Their engines roared like storms, shaking the ground, and all of them were coming straight for Lena. Ray felt his stomach twist with dread. He realized this was not a rescue, not a war patrol. This was a coronation. The aliens were not hunting her, they were summoning her, and Ray knew, in that moment, the Lena he had saved was slipping further away, becoming something else, something greater, something terrifying. And the true nightmare was only beginning. The night had turned into a living nightmare. The jungle was alive with whispers, and the alien drums still echoed like thunder in the distance. The glow from Lena's veins cast faint silver light across the camp. The soldiers could barely rest, their nerves stretched thin, and above them, the massive alien ships hovered silently, watching, waiting, like predators in the sky. Ray sat beside Lena, gripping his weapon tightly. His eyes scanned the tree line again and again. The alien warriors who had followed them still knelt in silence, their spears buried in the ground, their glowing eyes never leaving Lena. But Ray's gut twisted with unease. He had been a soldier long enough to know this calm would not last. There was always a storm after silence. Suddenly, the jungle cracked with noise. Branches snapped violently, as if something huge was forcing its way through. The alien warriors stirred, their heads rising in perfect unison. For the first time, they looked uneasy. Then came the sound, a deep, metallic growl. Not from the sky, not from any ship, but from the ground itself. The soldiers jumped to their feet, weapons aimed. "What the hell is that?" one whispered. Ray didn't answer. He didn't need to. Because a second later, the ground erupted. Dark figures burst from the earth, breaking through roots and soil. Not like the serpent, not like the kneeling warriors. These were different monstrous creatures, armored with jagged plates, their limbs sharp as blades, their eyes burned with red fire, and their mouths dripped glowing venom that hissed as it hit the dirt. The soldiers opened fire, their rifles spitting streams of energy. The jungle lit up with blasts and sparks. The monsters shrieked, but did not fall. Their armored hides absorbed most of the shots, and the ones that were hit only grew more furious, charging faster. The alien warriors rose to their feet at once. Their spears crackled with lightning. They shouted in their guttural language and leapt into battle. For the first time, the humans realized the kneeling was not surrender. It had been a warning. The true enemy had arrived. Chaos exploded in every direction. The antidote are filled with screams, gunfire, and the crack of alien weapons. Ray dragged Lena behind a broken tree, shielding her with his body. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing brighter than before. "What's happening?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Ray pointed at the monsters, firing his rifle. "They came for you, Lena. Stay down." But Lena shook her head weakly. "No, No, I can feel them. They're not just here for me. They're here because of me. Ray frowned, his stomach sinking. What are you talking about? Her voice cracked as she gasped. The venom inside me. It's calling them. Before Ray could answer, one of the beasts charged. Its claws tore through the tree he hid behind, splintering wood like paper. Ray shoved Lena aside, rolling as the creature's jaws snapped inches from his face. The smell of burning venom filled his nose, choking him. He fired point blank into its skull, the blast lighting up the night. The creature reeled back, shrieking, but did not fall. It lunged again, and this time, it aimed for Lena. Something inside her snapped. Her body moved before she could think. She raised her hand, and the veins in her arm lit up like lightning. A blast of silver energy erupted from her palm. It struck the beast with a thunderous crack. The monster flew backwards, smashing into the trees, its body burning from the inside. The battlefield froze for 1 second. Every soldier, every alien warrior, even the monsters stopped. All eyes turned to Lena, her small body shaking, her glowing veins bright as fire. Ray stared in shock, his weapon forgotten. Lena, what did you just do? She looked down at her hands, horrified. I don't know. I didn't mean to, she whispered. But the monsters shrieked louder, their rage doubling. They charged again, faster, deadlier, drawn to the glow, drawn to her. It was no longer just a battle. It was a hunt, and she was the prey. The soldiers fought desperately. Blasts lit the night. Blood sprayed across the leaves. 2 men were torn apart before they could even scroll. The medic was dragged into the trees, his cries fading into the dark. Ray roared orders, his voice cracking. Hold the line. Protect her. But even he knew they were losing. The monsters were too many, too strong. Then Lena stood, her fear replaced by something else. Her glowing eyes widened, her voice layered with alien tones. Stop, she whispered, but the sound shook the ground like thunder. The creatures froze mid-charge, their bodies trembling. Lena raised both her hands, silver energy crackling like fire, and with a scream that echoed through the jungle, she unleashed it. The light exploded outward, blinding, scorching, unstoppable. The monsters shrieked as their bodies burned from within. Armor cracked, venom boiled, and one by one, they collapsed into smoking husks. The ground trembled, the trees bent, the very air screamed with power, and then silence. The soldiers dropped their weapons, staring at her in horror and awe. The alien warriors fell to one knee again, pounding their spears into the ground. Lena stood in the center, her chest heaving, her veins blazing with silver fire. Ray stared at her, his mind spinning with fear and disbelief. She was no longer just Lena. She was something else, something powerful, something terrifying. Her body shook violently, and she fell to her knees, gasping. Ray rushed to her side, holding her as she trembled. Her voice was faint, broken. I didn't control it, Ray. It controlled me. She looked into his eyes, her own glowing too brightly. What if next time I can't stop? Ray pulled her close, his jaw tight. Then I'll stop you, he whispered, even though his heart broke as he said it, because deep down, he knew the truth. The monsters had not been the real threat. The real danger was the girl in his arms. Above them, the alien ships rumbled, louder now. The jungle shook again. This battle was only the beginning. The true war had yet to come. The battlefield stank of smoke and venom. The broken bodies of the creatures still twitched on the jungle floor, their red eyes dimming to black. The soldiers stood frozen, their weapons lowered, their faces pale with shock. None of them could understand what they had just seen. Not the firepower of human guns, not the lightning of alien spears, but a young scientist, their own Lena, unleashing destruction greater than both. Ray still held her trembling body. Her veins glowed faintly, flickering like dying embers. Her breaths came sharp, uneven, as if 2 lungs fought inside her chest. Her fingers clawed at the dirt, struggling to hold on to something real, something human. Ray whispered her name softly, trying to bring her back. Lena, stay with me. You're still here. You're still you. But the alien warriors around them thought differently. They dropped to one knee again, pounding their spears into the earth in unison. The sound echoed like a ritual drumbeat. Their guttural voices rose in a chant, repeating one word again and again: vessel, vessel, vessel. The soldiers shifted nervously. One spat into the dirt, his voice sharp with fear. "She's not Lena anymore. She's one of them," another muttered. "She's the reason these monsters came." Ray shot them a glare sharp enough to cut steel. "She's alive because of me, and we protect her," he growled. But even he felt the shadow of doubt crawling in his mind. The tall alien leader stepped forward. Its armor shimmered with glowing lines, its mask carved with strange symbols. It planted its spear before Lena, lowering its head slowly. Then, in broken, rasping words, it spoke. "She is chosen." The soldiers gasped, their grips on their weapons tightening. Ray narrowed his eyes, his voice cold and commanding. "Chosen for what?" The alien tilted its head, the glowing eyes beneath its mask burning. "Chosen to carry the S, a cred Venom," it said, the words heavy. "Blood of the first serpents, gift of the old ones, power to lead, power to end." The soldiers exchanged horrified glances. Ray clenched his jaw, his heart pounding. He looked down at Lena, her glowing eyes staring up at him, filled with fear. "I don't want this," she whispered, tears falling down her cheeks. "I never wanted this." The alien leader raised its head. "She cannot refuse," it rasped. "She is vessel, now and forever. She carries the seed of the hive. She will awaken what sleeps." The soldiers began shouting in panic. "What hive? What is he talking about? This is insane. Captain, we need to kill her before—" Ray snapped, his voice a roar. "Shut your mouths. No one touches her." But deep inside, his blood ran cold. Hive, awakening, vessel. Every word felt like a chain pulling them into something darker. He turned back to Lena, gripping her shoulders. Her skin burned beneath his hands, heat pulsing from her veins like fire. "Lena, listen to me. You're stronger than this. You're still human." She shook her head, her glowing eyes wide with terror. "I can hear them, Ray. Voices in my head. Thousands of them." Her body shook violently, her words breaking. "They're not whispers anymore. They're screaming, calling me home." Suddenly, the ground rumbled beneath their feet. The jungle trees bent, their roots snapping as the earth split. The soldiers stumbled, some falling. The alien warriors shouted, forming a protective circle around Lena, and then they saw it. Something massive was moving under the ground. The soil rippled like water, trees collapsing as it passed. A sound like thunder rolled through the earth. Something was waking. Lena screamed, clutching her head. Her body arched, silver light exploding from her skin. Her voice echoed in two tones. "They're coming. They're waking because of me," the soldiers shouted. Ted, in terror, their weapons shaking in their hands. Ray held her tight, his voice firm, desperate. "Fight it, Lena. Fight them. You're stronger than they are." But she only sobbed, her glowing tears sizzling on his hands. "I don't know if I want to fight, Ray. I feel them inside me. I feel like I belong to them." The alien leader raised its spear, striking it into the dirt with a thunderous crack. "The vessel has awakened the hive," it declared. "Now the war begins." Ray's heart pounded like a drum in his chest. War, hive, vessel. All of it was spiraling into a nightmare he could not control. The soldiers looked at him, fear in their eyes, waiting for an order. Some wanted to flee, some wanted to kill Lena. But Ray knew one truth. Without her, none of them would survive. Even if she was changing into something not human, even if she was the reason the hive stirred, she was still Lena, the girl he had saved, the girl who had begged him not to let her die. Suddenly, the ground split open near the camp. A massive claw burst through the soil, black and dripping with glowing venom. It was followed by another, then another. The earth shook as a colossal creature began to rise. Its body was covered in jagged armor, its many eyes glowing with red fire. It was larger than the crashed ship. larger than anything human weapons could destroy, and its roar shook the stars themselves. The soldiers screamed, firing wildly. The alien warriors prepared their spears, chanting louder. Ray grabbed Lena, pulling her to her feet. Her veins burned brighter, her eyes blazing silver fire. The voices inside her grew deafening. Awaken, vessel, lead us, rule us, destroy them all. She clutched her chest, her voice breaking. Ray, if I don't stop this, it will destroy everything. But if I use this power, I might never come back. Ray looked at her, his heart torn apart. You are not alone, Lena. I'll be with you, no matter what. Her glowing eyes locked on his, trembling. Then promise me, if I lose myself, you'll do what has to be done. Ray's thesaurus. Rote tightened, but he forced the words out. I promise. The jungle shook again, the massive creature fully emerging now. Its shadow swallowed the camp, its roar splitting the night. The hive had awakened, and Lena, glowing brighter than ever, took a step toward it. Her destiny was no longer a choice. It was here, and it was terrifying. The ground still trembled beneath their feet. The colossal beast towered above the jungle, its red eyes blazing, its armored skin glowing with venom cracks. Every roar shook the trees. Every step crushed the earth. The soldiers fired again and again, but their weapons were like sparks against a mountain. Nothing slowed it. Nothing hurt it. The hive had awakened, and death was marching toward them. Lena stood in the center of the chaos. Her veins blazed with silver fire, her eyes wide with terror and power. She could feel the monster inside her head, not just the creature before her, but thousands more beneath the earth, all whispering, all calling her by the same name: Vessel, Mother, Leader. She pressed her hands against her ears, screaming, "Stop! Leave me alone!" But the voices only grew louder. Ray grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. Fight them, Lena. You're not theirs. Her glowing eyes locked on his, filled with tears. What if I already am? She whispered, trembling. The soldiers were panicking. Some fired blindly into the night. Others shouted at Ray. She's the reason this is happening. She's not human anymore. We have to kill her before the hive spreads. Ray spun on them, rage burning in his chest. You raise your weapons against her, and I'll kill you myself. His voice cut through the noise like steel. The soldiers froze, fear mixing with anger. The alien warriors began their chant again, their deep voices shaking the ground, their spears glowing brighter. They circled Lena, bowing their heads. To them, she was Ni. O enemy, no human. She was their queen, their chosen. The conflict grew sharper. Humans on one side, aliens on the other, and Lena trapped in the middle. The massive hive beast roared again. Its claws ripped through the trees, scattering fire and ash. The soldiers fell back, terror in their eyes, but Lena stepped forward, her body trembling. Her veins pulsed brighter with each step, the voices inside her screaming for her to take control, to lead the hive, to join them fully. She raised her hand unconsciously, and the beast paused. For the first time, it stopped, its burning red eyes locked on her, waiting, listening, obeying. The soldiers gasped, their fear turning to horror. She's controlling it, one whispered. No, another hissed. It's controlling her. Ray's heart twisted, his grip on his weapon tightening. He could see it in her eyes. The struggle, the pull, the temptation. One step more, and she would be theirs. Lena, he shouted, his voice desperate. Look at me, not at them. She turned slowly, her glowing eyes locking with his, her voice cracked, layered with alien tones. They're offering me peace, Ray. No more fear, no more weakness, only power. I could stop this war before it begins. Ray shook his head, his voice firm. That's not peace, that's control. If you give in, you'll lose yourself. She trembled, her tears glowing silver. I'm so tired of being weak, she whispered. I don't want to be afraid anymore. The hive beast growled low, waiting for her command. The soldiers raised their weapons again, fear in their eyes. If she chooses them, we end this now, one muttered. Ray roared back, stand down. But their fear was stronger than their loyalty. One soldier aimed directly at Lena, his finger tightening on the trigger. The shot fired. Time slowed. Ray lunged, his body slamming into Lena. The bullet burned past her shoulder, missing her heart by inches. She gasped in shock, staring at the smoking barrel. The soldiers shouted, some defending Ray, others screaming to kill her. The camp erupted. In chaos, humans against humans, aliens watching silently, judging, waiting. Lena's scream cut through the madness. Her body exploded with light. The ground shook violently, throwing everyone off their feet. Weapons flew from hands, trees bent, rocks split. The hive beast roared in answer, its massive body trembling as if her power pulled its strings. The soldiers fell silent, staring in awe and terror. Lena stood alone, glowing like a star. Her voice thundered, both human and alien. Enough! The world froze. The soldiers dared not move. The alien warriors bowed deeper. The hive beast lowered its massive head. Its burning eyes locked on her. She breathed heavily, her tears falling like molten silver. She turned to Ray, her voice breaking. Do you see now? They will obey me, but if I lead them, will I still be me? Ray's chest ached, his voice soft but fierce. You are Lena. You are human. You are more than what they want you to be. But only if you choose it. Her lips trembled. She looked at the soldiers, their fear, their anger, their distrust, then at the aliens, their faith, their worship, their hunger, and finally back at Ray. His loyalty, his pain, his hope. Her voice cracked as she whispered, Then who do I belong to? The jungle answered with silence. The hive beast waited for her command. The soldiers waited for Ray's order. The aliens waited for their queen, and Lena, the vessel, stood on the edge of two worlds. One choice would save humanity, the other might destroy it. Ray swallowed hard, his eyes never leaving hers. No matter what they call you, you belong to yourself, he said firmly. But deep down he feared his words were not enough, because the glow in her veins was spreading faster. Her pulse thundered like a drum. The voices screamed louder inside her head, and with each breath, Lena was slipping further away. The hive beast roared again. And shaking the stars, the choice could not be delayed. Soon, she would have to decide, and Ray prayed that when the moment came, she would choose humanity and not the hive. The jungle burned with silver light. The hive beast loomed above them like a mountain of claws and venom. Its roar shook the earth, its shadow swallowing the survivors whole. The soldiers stood frozen, their weapons useless, their courage broken. The alien warriors bowed lower, chanting the word vessel until the sound became a storm. And Lena, glowing veins bright as fire, stood trembling between two worlds. Ray reached for her, his hand steady, though his heart was breaking. You don't have to listen to them, he whispered. You're stronger than their voices, stronger than the hive. Lena's eyes flickered between silver fire and human fear. Her lips trembled, her voice layered. What if being human means weakness, Ray? What if the only way to save you all is to stop being me? Ray shook his head, fierce and desperate. You are not weak, Lena. You are human. That's why you matter. That's why I saved you. Her glowing tears fell, burning the ground where they landed. Her chest heaved as the voices inside screamed louder. Lead us, vessel. Rule us. Destroy them all. The hive beast lowered its massive head until it nearly touched her. Its breath was venomous steam, its eyes endless pits of red fire. It waited, obedient, as if her command was law. The soldiers whispered in terror. She controls it. No, it controls her. If she joins them, we're finished. One soldier raised his rifle again, trembling. We end this now. Ray blocked his aim, his voice thunderous. Put it down. She's not the enemy. But the soldier's fear was stronger than loyalty. He screamed and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, slicing through the night, and then it stopped, frozen in the air, glowing silver. Lena had caught the bullet mid-flight, her glowing hand trembling as she crushed it into dust. Her voice echoed like thunder. No more. The jungle exploded with silence. The hive beast bowed its head lower, The alien warriors slammed their spears into the ground in worship. The soldiers stared in shock, some falling to their knees. Ray watched her, his breath caught in his throat. She was no longer the frightened girl he had saved. She was something greater and something terrifying. Lena turned slowly, her glowing eyes fixed on the massive hive beast. The voices inside her head screamed like a storm. She raised both hands, her veins blazing with light. The beast trembled, its massive claws digging into the ground, and then, with a scream that shattered the trees, it obeyed, falling onto its knees before her. The earth split with the weight of its submission. The alien warriors roared in unison. "The vessel has risen." Their voices echoed like thunder across the sky. The soldiers panicked, some dropping their weapons, others shouting in fear. "She's their queen. She's not one of us anymore." Ray's voice cut through, fierce and unyielding. "She is still Lena." But Lena turned to him, her glowing eyes soft and broken, her voice cracked, trembling. "Am I, Ray? Look at me. Look what I've become." He grabbed her hands, ignoring the burning heat of her skin. "You are alive, and you are still you. As long as you fight for it, you are Lena." For a moment, she closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked like the girl he had saved. But then the sky split open. More ships descended, massive alien vessels glowing with red light. They poured from the clouds like vultures surrounding the jungle. Ray's stomach dropped. This was not the end of the fight. This was the beginning of war. The alien leader stepped forward, raising its spear toward the sky. "They come to witness," it rasped. "They come to see the vessel crowned." Lena gasped, stumbling back. "No, I don't want this." But the voices inside her roared louder. "You are the vessel. You cannot refuse. You are ours." Her body shook violently, her veins pulsing brighter. She screamed, falling to her knees, her hands clawing the dirt. "Ray, help me!" He dropped beside her, pulling her close. "Fight them, Lena. You're stronger. Don't let them take you." Her glowing eyes locked on his, filled with terror. Her voice cracked. "I can't hold them back much longer. If I lose myself, Ray, promise me. Promise you'll end it." Ray's chest tightened, his voice breaking. I can't kill you." She pressed her glowing hand against his chest, burning his uniform. "You must, or everything dies." The ground shook again, louder, heavier. More claws ripped from the soil. The hive was fully awakening. Dozens of colossal beasts rose, their red eyes burning, their roars splitting the sky. The soldiers screamed, some firing wildly, others dropping in despair. The alien warriors cheered, their chant deafening. "Vessel, vessel, vessel." Lena stood, her body blazing with silver fire, her hair lifted in the energy, her eyes burning like stars. The hive beasts bowed as one, the earth trembling beneath their submission. The sky rumbled as the alien ships circled above. Ray stared at her, his throat tight, his heart breaking. She turned to him slowly, her glowing face filled with sorrow, her whisper cut deeper than any blade. "You saved me, Ray, but now, can you stop me?" The light around her exploded, swallowing the jungle. The screen faded to black. Only her echoing voice remained. "The vessel has risen."